Hey everybody, you're listening to the Combo Wombo podcast. I'm Chipmunk, and with me as always the Mr. Gimpy.
What up, Chip? How's it going, brother?
Affable Mr. Gimpy, dude.
Affable.
What's happening?
What's the
That's
fuck,
right,
bro?
Dude. Dude. It's going great, dude.
That's pretty fair. Yeah, I got you.
I'm just gonna ignore your questions and follow-up questions and just plow on through, dude.
Yeah, all right. So, dude, I gotta say, man, 2023 shaping up to be a banger of a year for gaming, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's really coming along.
All aspects. From the game dev standpoint, Unreal Engine 5 shit, just the 5.3 update has reached the VR world, actually.
Yeah.
So games made on Unreal Engine 4 are now being ported to Unreal Engine 5, so we're getting better fidelity, better optimization, and clearly like just better graphical quality without hurting the processing resources that we have currently. So it's insane. Been fantastic.
It's insane that like now like all these game engine developers are like, what if we use multi-threading? It's like, you motherfuckers, dude. This has been a problem for like the last like 10 years, and they're just like, oh yeah, we should probably do that. Yeah.
Except for like that game you love, that Supreme Commander. That's like the only game I can think of that uses multi-threading just from the jump.
They needed to, dude. Like Unity just put out their long-term support as well, and that has like the dots and the burst engine, which is also just doing multi-threading. It's like, what if we offloaded processes that are doing the exact same mathematics to different threads so we don't bottleneck the systems? Somebody was like, yeah, that makes sense. So
they're keep in mind though, like gaming, you are targeting the lowest common denominator of your peak target. So it's just like you take your peak and you go, okay, from my peak, how low can I go and still have the game run? So I mean, I get it. I get it, but you're right. It's been a long time coming since even our cell phones are multi-threaded.
I mean, like this was like one of the big updates was like this won't work on like cell phones that don't have like a Vulkan for like dots and bursts,
Snapdragon 3 or 4, some shit.
And then like somebody was like, what if I have a phone that doesn't have that? And they're like, bro, that phone's from like 2015, bro. Like,
it's been poor, bitch.
I don't know, but they're like, I don't know, it's probably like older. I don't know if it stopped being poor, but like, I don't know. Are there a lot of old phones out there in the world? I'm sure there are, right? There has to be.
If there are, you're not playing games on it.
I mean, you might be, but not like new games. You're not going to be like upset that you can't play like, Genshin Impact or something on there. You're like, oh, I can't play like this open world. I can't emulate like Dolphin. I can't play my GameCubes on my phone. And everyone's like, yeah, bro.
I'm curious. Mobile doesn't have like a survey share, right? Where you can kind of query it and see what phones are out there in active use, because I feel like the phone market, they're always the cutting edge because of like cell phone plans going, all right, time to upgrade every like 2 years. So everyone, I feel like you'd have a phone that's at most 40 years old if you're an active phone user, for the most part. Like take you for example, right? You got rid of your phone, but what did you have?
I've been phone free, dude.
Yeah, like the S20, right?
Yeah, dude.
So I mean, that's like a phone that's like a year old, maybe two.
Yeah,
maybe two.
Nice. It's a nice phone. I can play emulators on there. I got my Joy-Con or whatever extension, dude.
Yeah, but with you who love mobile games, but not quite just phones in general, you even had a phone within 2 years. So I feel like there's not.
It's just collecting
at least in the developed world, no one's really rocking a phone from like years ago, like 2012 or something, unless you got even the Obama phones, I think, are more powerful than that, here in the US, the free phones you get from the government.
Dude, it's what a time to be alive. So like what if the developers were like, what if we took advantage of like everyone having new hardware and like start doing multi-threading? But even before that, dude, it was like still a problem. Like a lot, like this is what I've been learning, getting back to like developing and coding is like using Unity. It's like a Swiss Army knife where it doesn't do anything fucking really good. Like it's like you could do anything, but like also it's just like a tool to build tools, if that makes sense, because like it touches so many different industries where I'm like, I just want to make a 2D game. I know showing you this problem I was running into where if like you want to bring in a sprite, you have to like set all the animations, create a controller animator, and then like you can start making your game. And like you can
read the Cuphead developer diaries. They talk about all of their struggles with doing 2D in Unity, and they had just beautiful hand drawn art. So they actually built like custom shit to handle it. It's a very interesting.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is like the Swiss Army knife because I had to do the exact same thing. But it's like Macromedia Flash figured this shit out like back in 2000, dude. Like you haven't figured it out. So I found like somebody who like had a GitHub where like an animator, like a custom animator, where it's like you could, instead of going through like all that, you just drag your sprite on after it's sliced up, and then like you can like set up frames. But I was like, man, that's like half the battle, but not like the whole battle. Like I have like I bought like a sprite, kit, from Itch. There's like 100 bad guys or guys in there. I got 100 dudes. And like setting that up, like it's a repetitive task. Like I know I got like a 4x5 grid that's 20 sprites, and like every 4 animations, like that's a new animation. You got your idle walk, attack dead, and damaged or something like that. Damaged dead. So they're all doing the exact same thing. They're all in the same order. So I wrote like a fucking Unity editor thing that just like says, look in this directory, find all the sprites in there, and then like assign them to this animator with like these things. And like, I want everything to loop except for dead. And it did it. So I just like click a button and did that. But it took me like 8 hours to program that. Where I'm like, I feel like even then, like you still have to go in and like slice your sprites each individually.
I was going to ask, does it have a built-in slicer at least? But
no.
You're slicing yourself?
All right, here's my theory. And I'm not sure like if this is real or not. Because I know if you like pay for Pro Unity, you probably have more access to like API stuff. But I'm thinking because like I'm using like the free personal version. I'm thinking like because of Fruit Ninja, I'm assuming like that's my thought, right? Because like I'm like I don't understand why I have access to like every other API tool except like slice up sprites. And I'm assuming like a bunch of fucking 12-year-olds went in there and like I want to make Fruit Ninja. I could just slice up the sprite, and it's like no, bro, like that's not what they're doing. And I'm thinking like they're probably calling like that slice operator from like the engine. And it was probably like busting a bunch of fucking, engine. Like it was like ruining people's like, so they probably just got like an error report back with like hundreds of thousands of assholes trying to make like a Fruit Ninja clone. This is like my thought. Like I can't see any other reason why like I couldn't just access that like slice by cell type from like the editor. It doesn't make sense. Because you can do like almost anything else. Like it's crazy. Like I said, it's like a Swiss Army knife that has like a shitty little saw in it, but you could use that to like, you could use like a little shovel. You could use that to like, slice up some twigs, build like a shovel, and then shovel up, a bunch of iron ore, and then smelt that down into like an actual bandsaw to do your job. You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
So it's like, I don't know. It has like a tool that can do anything, and then like it has the power to for you to customize and really drill down.
Got it.
And do what you gotta do.
Got it. So let's talk about the completed proof of concept you had up on Edge. So Chip made a autobattler essentially.
But
I mean it's basically
not a game.
It's almost it's almost just like an idle game where you just watch shit happen, right?
You're not doing anything.
But for you, it was just it was a really big coding exercise. You're pulling images from the web on Access, correct? So you like boot the game and then it doesn't pull images at that point. Yeah,
I did a bunch of stuff. I think did we talk about this last pod? I feel like we did.
You talked about your goals, but you were in the middle of making it.
Did we? Sheesh. Yeah. So I wrote like a quick Unity editor. Like I found a web scraper for my audiobooks. I talked about my crippling audiobook addiction, which is where like I started like scraping these like web novel sites to like get like the latest chapters so I could do text to speech conversion. And at that point I was like, what if I use like monsters? I'm gonna break here because I'm gonna go on a little bit on a tangent, but I'm gonna come on right back to it. Okay. Right. So Gimpy asked me the other day, like, because I've just been like putzing around in Uni. He's like, so were you trying to build like a game or something? I'm like, no. But like you've been living rent free in my head ever since, because I'm like, man, yeah. Because like now, like whenever I reach a pain point for me, I'm like, why am I doing this? What game am I actually trying to build? Like I hear Gimpy in my head, like, what are you even trying to do, bro?
And so I started talking shit. I was curious.
No, yeah, but like I don't know, because So I like went to look for like some game dev stuff. So I have like, notebooks and stuff. And I was like, oh, what game's in here that I want to make that I haven't made yet? And I was looking over it, and like most of that stuff that's in there, like is either like too big or I've already made it. And like, except for like the Snake Match 3 game, which I was already working on this morning, I was like, I could crank this thing out, I feel. Yeah. But then like, I had like, probably like 4 or 5 pages dedicated to like games that I want to make. And like 3 of them I already did like over the last like 2 years. And then the first 8 pages is like a goddamn like doctorate on like motivation, accomplishing things, and like finishing a task. And so like I have like an XY grid on the page 1, and it's like if you like break anything down into like a beginning, middle, and end, and then like I rated like every task like by 10 points to like complete a task, like for what I was using it for as game design, but you could like apply this to anything. And then like I plotted those points on like what those tasks are, and like what makes me quit the most on like things is like repetitive tasks, like anything that's like brainless fucking things that you should be able to program. Sure. So that's always like a pain point for me. That's why like I quit things like anything that like also breaks that's like outside of my control. Like I know like for me when I was working on like generic quests, it was like I had a bunch of game objects I was trying to grab the same like pathfinding nodes, and that was just like breaking the code, and it broke it in such a way that I couldn't even reload the project, but it would reload some of the time. And Unity's like so fucking slow where it's like, this is before they started using multi-threading even in their engine, where they would load everything from CPU instead of using their other computer resources. It was like, we're just going to use CPUs. Like, you don't want to use like memory allocation or like the graphics card or anything. They're like, nah, just CPU. It's like, all right, Pat. So like any like pain point like that, any repetitive task, anything that's breaking that's outside of my control. So that got me like building these tools. So I got the web scraper. I was getting my audiobooks, and then I was like, see how I came back to it? We're wrapping it all back around. I'm bringing you home, boys. So I got the web scraper, and I was like,
twice, but we're there.
Yeah. I did a victory lap, a little bit of a victory lap. Yeah. So then I was like, all right, I want to like get stats, because I feel like stats for monsters are something I always need, and like I don't want to write out things. And everyone's like, you should just use a spreadsheet. And then I was like, even if I made like scriptable objects, I'm still converting them. So I wrote like an editor extension that like converts like a spreadsheet stats, like, attack, damage, dexterity, into like a scriptable object that I can use in the game. So I like scraped that data, got that working. And then I was like, all right, cool. Now I have like a bunch of like random monsters from Open5e that will show up on screen. And I, just pull in from a list. And I was like, that's cool. And then I was like, well, I should like, make a player. And then I made a player, and I was like, well, I at least want to see what I'm attacking. So then I was like, I don't want to get like, you probably won't get sued just for like a project you're doing. But I was like, it led that to the next thing where I was like, you're going to have like a lot of images, because there's like 4,900 monsters in this list. So I was like, what if I just went and got like the, D&D monster bestiary and download that? And I was like, but that's illegal. So then I was like, what if I use like stable diffusions, like image to image, and like there's like an RPG, like Lua extension or something.
Yeah.
So then I just had that like run through like all the images in a directory and output like, the Kmart version.
Really yeah.
The Kmart, the off-brand, the Shasta. Yeah, we got D&D monsters at home, dude.
The Shasta.
Yeah, dude. You're off-brand. You're
the RC Cola of D&D.
Yeah, bro. It's glorious. So then I made like 2,100 monsters that way, and then that led me to another problem. Like again, like these are like just the concepts applied to like every game. Is like I have a bunch of stats I want to apply to thing. I have a bunch of images, but now I'm pulling like random stats from scriptable objects. Yes. And I was like, the old me would have been like, I need to like go in, add a field for the scriptable object to like put in the image. And then I was like, that seems fucking stupid. Like any repetitive tasks, you should be able to like programmatically automate, I feel. Okay. Especially if it's like just mindless repetitive things. So instead of like, because it's like again, like it scales, right? Sure. The problem, it's like, it's not a big deal if it's like 4 or 5 monsters.
We have 2,000.
Like, yeah, I have 2,100 monsters. It becomes like, all right, I don't want to fucking do this. So like I wrote like a quick dictionary list lookup, and that did it. But then when I built the HTML5, I got Gimpy bro like, nothing fucking works, bro. Everything's broken. I'm like, oh, it's because I can't pull from like resource folders like you can like locally on like the local build. Yep. So then I wrote like another scriptable object that populates with a list of like all the images in that directory. So then I can just like So this is like, it's a feature, not a bug, but I think it feels like a bug because it works the opposite of every fucking thing else in Unity. And then it works how it's supposed to work when you make a build. It's like scriptable objects save any changes that are made during runtime in the editor.
Mhm.
So like if you wanted to like say like pull like health and like you wanted like the monster to take damage, if you're like pulling that health from a scriptable object and it's changing like that integer value, as soon as you end your play session, it's going to save like at 0 health back on that scriptable object. And they're like, oh, this is great. You can edit things while you're building it. It's like, that's not that fucking great because now I have to like build like a middleware thing that like holds like 2 integers. I have to like set it at the beginning from like a scriptable object. It's just a pain in the ass. But they're like, it's a feature.
Global variables though on that.
Yeah.
At that point, but I guess you wanted it within its own script. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
No, like it's it is what it is. Like, sure, there are better ways to do it, and like that's kind of what
instance monitoring could probably handle that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what like you end up doing?
I just made like a hand holding thing because I wasn't like building our full game with that, but like with I was talking to you yesterday. I'm like using like I think like interfaces now to just declare like a general variable, like a global variable, basically to handle like damages and health and everything else.
Got it. Okay.
But like during the it's a feature, not a bug. To me, like everything else works the opposite in Unity. If you're at runtime, like you can't change anything. Like they implicitly tell you like, hey man, you can't change like any world things. Don't fuck around in the editor if you're running the game. Like, don't do it. You can copy those values and then paste it outside of the runtime to make the changes you want to make. So I don't know. I used it as a feature at this point. So I just like pulled the list of all the directory things during runtime from the editor, and then like built it, and then like exported with that list for a dictionary lookup, dude. It's a long story, fucking long, dude. But yeah, just building a lot of tools that like fix small repetitive tasks, which usually make me quit projects, like pain points. So I think that's huge. Is like just developing like enough self-awareness to like see why you quit a project or anything that you're enthusiastic about, and be like, what was the pain points that like I kept running into in a task that like made me quit this, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a very mature way of looking at it. For me, I think it's the fun to work ratio. My ratio has been off for weeks, months, even like a couple months now. It's just like work has ramped up, and then like personal life, like just responsibilities have ramped up. So I'm squeezing fun out in those little sections.
Yeah, it's tough, dude.
It's just not enough mentally, you know. So that for me, that's it. A lot of like the repetitive stuff. If I'm in the zone, I can handle it. But if it's like when it's to the point where it feels like work, it's hard for me to push past that. Because for me,
you're like, I work a full ass job and not to work.
Yeah. And the full ass job has been bleeding over into like my free time too, you know. I mean, that's what happens in your sales. Sometimes you have bigger projects than that just need to be done, you know. So
I just watched a game dev journal about this where the guy was like going to school for his doctorate, and he's like, I want to do this game jam, and he's like, I have like 48 hours. He's like, I'll just squeeze it out when I can. And that like worked out to like maybe an hour a day, like over like a week. And he was like, at the end of it, like he had like, his thoughts on it, and he was like, I used to think like people who said like, I don't have enough time for this, were just like, that was code for like, I just want to play games instead of actually working on things I love doing. And he's like, but now I realize there's such a thing as like not enough time, like because you have like other obligations. I feel like there's like a maturity mindset to that, and just like not feeling guilty.
As a human being, you need to be entertained. You know,
are you not entertained?
It's a part of your psyche. You know, you need to have some sort of positive endorphin rush. Just otherwise, you're not living. You know, so yeah. I think for me, it's like carving out time, but burning the candle at both ends has been just screwing me over.
Yeah,
you know, firstly because usually I'm like, okay, I could be a night owl, but then I work at 6 a.m. so then I'm just tired all the time, and then nothing gets done. You know, like it hurts both ends. So I think for me, time management is really a big issue. Like it's been my entire life. So time management is not something I'm great at. Never have been.
But like also you can end up with like weird spots of time, right? Like stuff like you just start adding up like your free time,
Yeah.
Like he'd be like at the end of the day, be like, oh, I got like 2 hours of free time, but like not really though, because like if you look at like where they are happening, it's like gaps in between other like tasks or things. You're like, oh, I got 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here. It's like, you got 2 hours total like of loss, but like there's no way to capture that loss, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, where it's like, oh, I got 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Oh, if I could only capture that lost time, but it's like you can't. Like it's just like in between other. Yeah. You're like, oh, like I just fed the kids and now I got like 20 minutes. And it's like, do you though? Like you got to watch the kids, like you got to like, take care of other things. So you got to be like adaptable to other things. Or you're like, oh, I'm at work. I just finished like this thing. It's like, now I have like half an hour. And it's like, do you though? Like what if something else comes up? Like you have to be ready, it's so there's like lost free time. Like, but like if you like looked at it like on a pie chart or something, you'd be like, oh, I'm wasting all this fucking time. It's like, not really though.
Yeah. So that's something I personally just have to work at, and I've realized it's always been kind of a thing. But and as we said when the podcast first started, like and I think we both have this. We both have like create it. And kudos to you, dude, for getting your shit done. We both have like points of time where we have like just these creative outbursts, and then we just work on our shit. Just like
for me, it's like during the winter,
everything done. Yeah, like winter and stuff. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. And then I went through that phase where everyone in the house just kept getting sick for like 2 months straight.
Dude.
Like, Jesus,
you still had a cough. Like Brett talked to you the other day. You still might. Like, every once in a while, I'm like, is this going to be a thing now? You just that dude with like, what is that? Is that contagious? You'd be like, oh no, it's just that's who I am now.
Do you remember Samurai Showdown? The character Ukyo, who's like the swordsman with tuberculosis. Like that's gonna be me now, dude. It's just
it's part of your character arc.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. This is the fucking deathly ill swordsman. That's me.
Man. Absolutely.
But yeah, dude. I do credit the Steam Deck with me. I'm actually going back and as you said, like capturing the free time, because with the Steam Deck, I can be physically present with my kids, and they're at an age where they're trying to do stuff, and part of their fun is testing boundaries and doing dangerous shit, right? Like stuff they shouldn't be doing. Like, whoa,
what happens if I just do a belly flop off the couch? Dude, and you're like, you don't want to do that.
So instead of grabbing a step stool, they stacked like these two plastic chairs onto each other that were sliding as they were stacking. And they started climbing. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's like on the kitchen, and then they're trying to get up to the freezer to get popsicles. It's like, you could have just asked. I'm sitting right here, But like if I wasn't there, they would have done that. Fall and broke their necks, whatever.
I've heard it equated to like trying to watch like the drunk friend at the party.
100%.
Like you're in charge. Like that's what those kids are at right now.
Like my daughter's 6, my son's 4. And then when you have the 6-year-old being responsible for the 4-year-old, sometimes the 6-year-old will go, "Yeah, I want to do this crazy shit too."
Yeah, why not?
So I mean, why not, right? But with the Steam Deck though, I've been able to just have my gaming time with watching the kids, and with
you playing any of that Street Fighter, dude?
We'll get to that. Is
that all? Can you play that on that Steam Deck there, dude?
I can.
Oh, shit.
So my
that's why you're up till 5 a.m.
That is why I was up till 5 a.m. So my setup. So I'm going through my backlog, which I have 1,100 games on Steam.
Yeah.
I have completed, according to like the Steam charts, 4% of them. Some of them are multiplayer only, which will never get done, right? But a lot of the single player stuff, I'm like, wow, I haven't played this.
Do you have any games on there that like don't exist anymore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's weird, right? Like you feel like kind of like in a special club.
Yep.
I was playing this game out there and I was like, what the fuck is this game? When did I get it? Like I started like trying to look up any information. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm not sure if it was like a lawsuit or something. It's just like it'd been scrubbed from the internet, it was scrubbed from Steam.
Yeah.
It was like it was weird.
That Silicon Knights game that's like that. It was trash. It had like thumbstick combat. I can't remember what it was called now. Too Human, maybe. Okay. That's what it's called. I can't remember, but yeah, there's that game. There's the oh man, what's it called? By Turtle Rock Studios. Their asymmetric multiplayer game. Man, it's bugging me now. But I have that game, and that game doesn't exist anymore. And randomly, the servers came back online because I think they're trying to like, relaunch it.
Yeah, it's like the licenses might be in limbo. The owners or whoever, like who knows.
Yep. So like,
maybe
Tencent
some legal
has a big a big stake in them. So that's the see how that goes.
Time to reboot.
What is that game
So you got
called?
4% of your games complete, dude.
Evolve.
Oh,
That's.
is that Combat Evolve? Is that the like
no,
4-player?
No.
Okay.
It was just called Evolve, but it's called like Evolve Second Stage was like the reboot they tried to do.
With dinosaurs?
No, that's Primal Extinction or some shit like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had that game
confusion.
when that came back. Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, but I played Shank 2. I played Shank 2 in its entirety, which I enjoyed the first Shank like years ago on the Xbox Live Arcade.
Hey, so you didn't even realize you owned it.
Yeah, I didn't realize I owned it. Was looking for a game to just kind of mindlessly hack and slash, and I had a blast. Played on the whole thing on the Steam Deck. It was great. Beat like a bunch of the Devil May Cries as replays and having a blast with those. Playing through some RPGs, played through XCOM on there. So the backlog is I'm working through it. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
So as far as what I'm playing lately, Street Fighter 6 came out. Those of us who bought it on Steam who thought we could play it on the first instead of the second, we got a rude awakening by it launching at like near midnight on the first instead of so I had to wait like a full day while watching people stream it and have a blast. But
mockingly,
Street Fighter 6 is amazing so far.
Nice.
Netcode is great. I've heard in the wild, shout out Sir Solis who's having issues with the game, but it may be his computer, not the game.
Dang, throwing him under the bus.
And then he said, because the recommended requirements are his system. It's legitimately his system. So
it was built for this.
It just wasn't working. So something's up. But it runs great for me. Apparently people are saying it has some issues on PS4, but it's like the open world mode. And I'm like, who cares at this point? The PS4.
Yeah, how dare you? It's dated, it's long in the tooth.
He's like so many people who people still have it. It's like those people don't matter at this point, dude. I don't know, man. It just seems like it's definitely looking at new consoles, right? If you're buying a newer game on a new console,
dare you couldn't even buy a PS5 for like a year, bro. You couldn't even find them.
Yeah, that was a year ago. You can buy them now.
All right, damn. PC, what are you trying to say? You should have saved up, dude, on that PS4.
At some point, games have to move on, right? Like the first year of a new console life cycle, I feel is fine. This one was a little longer in the tooth because of the supply issues. But at this point, get a new console.
Developers, dude. I blame this with like Cyberpunk. Well, yeah, but like it's like just cancel. Like I think it's businessman making businessman decision, being like, oh, if you look at how many PS4s we have out here in the wild, that's a whole market we're not capturing. We got to release for that. And it's like, but our whole game is built to take advantage of next gen technology. We have multi-threading now, and they're like, fuck that. Put it out there. They're like, all right, let's see how this breaks.
But I will say, top to bottom so far of what I've experienced in the game has been fantastic.
Nice.
So Street Fighter 5, when that came out, it came out on my birthday years ago, and my wife bought it for me. I was hyped for it, and Street Fighter 5 was not the game that I wanted. And it hurt more because it was a birthday present.
Dang, dude.
The game ended up.
You have to go to a tragic backstory and all this, bro.
The game actually ended up like getting better as time went on.
Yeah, they had a bunch of stuff.
4 years, from launch, and it's nice to have a AAA release that feels complete when you're there. Yeah. There's some things people are like, oh, the second costumes are locked behind a paywall. I was like, no, you just have to play through the game and then you can get them with it,
or you can pay money,
or you can pay money. Yeah, but I mean that's kind of been the industry standard for a while, so it doesn't bother me.
It's like some people can make that trade off where they have like more money than time, or more time than money, and it's like
so but really, man,
you get like whales and sharks, man. People out here are just like, I just want this stuff. I'm not interested in playing the campaign. I just want to play online. You have like the hyper competitive, high level Evo fighters and stuff where they're like, no, I got to get good.
And at the end of the day, though, it's just cosmetics.
Yeah.
The game, though, dude, it feels like a mix between like Street Fighter 3 and like the good parts of Street Fighter 5.
Okay.
So I obviously I'll get into it more as time goes on, but my first impressions are, it's the game that I've been waiting for. It's absolutely fantastic, and the other fighters coming out this year: Mortal Kombat 1, Tekken 8. There's one more I'm forgetting. Maybe not. Those 2 other games coming out. They got a lot to live up to. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. And on the SNK side of things, like with the King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown, that are getting updates to stay competitive in this market, a lot to look up to. So this year's Evo is going to be a fucking banger. Street Fighter 6
Heck
is it,
yeah,
dude.
man.
It's great.
It's
So,
here, dude.
Absolutely love it.
You think it's gonna be main stage?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
There's no way in
This
hell
is
it's
it.
not. There's no way in
Oh
hell it's not.
shit!
Yeah, the game's that good.
Dang.
Some people like shit on the art for the game or whatever, but you know, at the end of the day, what people care about is the gameplay. And
Yeah. I don't know, bro.
Fucking
You were
chef's kiss,
sending me
dude.
this thing about the AI art with the Duke Nukems the other day, dude.
I did.
It
You know,
has
I wanted
zero
to get-
impact on gameplay, on the game, on anything, dude. Like,
No, no. It's the fact that someone misrepresented themselves and put AR art as their own was my issue with it. So let's we're at the
seemed
tail
like
end
it
of
was-
the pod here, but let's get into this.
I don't know. It seemed like it was
so-
like part of the process. I played some of the Zeldas. I
Yeah.
loved it. I don't think I'm gonna play more of it. I think I got like I'm not deep in. I'm like 3-4 hours in, and like
Okay.
I'm on basically like tutorial island, and it's like a series of islands where it's like, bro, fuck you. Like I'm looking at like the map how it's laid out. It's like a circle, and I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna start here, and like I'm gonna have to go like all the way around this fucking circle to complete like the bullshit basic stuff just to get into like the real game. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like I played the one main new mechanic, which is like you stick things to other things to build things.
Yep.
And I was like, this is kind of cool, but it controls like shit if you're just using the controller. I know you're supposed to use like the screen and like the gyroscope to like get it to work. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I did that shit with like VR. There's like an Adobe thing where you can like use 3D models and stuff. And that was fun. I used to do that every day for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I stopped doing it. So I'm like, I don't know. That's like really full on 3D immersive control of modeling stuff. And I didn't want to do that, dude. I don't want to do like, I don't know. I'm an old man. Like I call them like summertime games. Like I don't have like a summer vacation no more to like really get into the balls of that game. And I see like people's creations online. I watch like a bunch of YouTube videos.
Mhm.
People are building up straight mechs, straight tanks. It looks fire as fuck.
You just don't have the time.
Yeah, I just don't have the time.
Will, right?
Yeah, because I'm like, I can use like Blender 3D or like I can actually be making my own game. Like, I don't know. Like, it's the same reason why I don't like get deep into Minecraft.
Okay.
Like, and I know it's a me thing. Like, it's like inside the back.
Thing.
Yeah, like in the back of my head, I got like the Tiger Mom was like, you should just be making actual shit. Like, you could be instead of programming fucking red firestones and Minecraft making contraptions, you could just be programming actual games like, or anything else.
Your thoughts on that was really funny because before you mentioned that, I was like, but it's not impressive that Nintendo made this whole ecosystem for people to do this within its game. I was like, that's impressive. So, and they did it on the Switch. Like, I think it's impressive.
Talk about like long in the tooth, dude. Man, fuck the Switch. It's like the game. Things like I don't know. What they do on that thing's amazing. What if they upgrade to like PlayStation 3 or 4, dude? Like that level of like system, dude. What could they do that?
Nintendo marches to the beat of its own drum, dude. They'll never change. But I'm okay with that.
They want to make money on their hardware, and that's their business model.
The thing, dude, like Nintendo, man, they're the last remnants of
soup to nuts
of the bastion of quality over quantity. So I'm okay with that.
They want Nintendo. Like I said, I love it, I get it, but it's like I don't have time for it. Like I don't know, like for me, I'm like building up like how you have like 1,000 games that you're trying to get to. I probably have like 2-3 dozen games where I'm like, as soon as I retire, this is my retirement plan. It's like playing like fucking Skyrim VR, like everything else, dude.
So getting back to the AI art fiasco, so a handheld emulator machine is coming out, and with it, it's an official release. With it, they're porting the original Duke Nukem side-scroller games to this platform as like a bundle launch. And to promote it, there was some artwork of Duke Nukem for the system saying Duke Nukem's coming to this handheld. The art, however, was commissioned by a guy who they found on like Twitter or ArtStation or some shit.
ArtStation,
and the guy just used AI art for it. It
looked like he had like some assistance based on like what I saw from some of the breakdowns. It looked like he kind of came up with a composition and then like fiddled around until he got like enough images to like batch together a composite image.
But all of his and then people like dove deeper into his like ArtStation profile and shit like that, and then all of his shit's been AI. And they're like, they went back to like when he first started like his account,
Yeah.
and they're like, this is what his drawings actually look like, and then this is from after that. They're like, he can never do the same thing twice. Like those telltale signs of AI stuff, like the fingers, for one, the perspectives being off, just
Yeah.
not following sight lines, and like gun clips being super weird like all the time.
Hell yeah.
Like I don't know, like AI can't handle like like magazines and stuff. So, but the artist misrepresented himself. He said he's making this art, and he just typed a bunch of keywords into a program
I
and
mean, in a
said,
way, he
"Hey,
kind of did. He's an auteur, dude.
no, no,
No.
I disagree." So this is a big debate that I wanted to end on, and this will be our wrap up
Yeah.
session. So I think that the person misrepresented themselves. I think that they should not have been paid for the services offered, because a traditional artist would have taken, let's say 20 to 30, 40 hours on this project of making some promo image for a classic character like Duke Nukem, and this guy probably spent 15 minutes typing in keywords into AI
Oh,
generator
bro.
and submitted
I'm
it.
sure he probably spent 3-4 hours working on it total. So what though, bro? Like what? I don't know. Like he didn't like misrepresent himself. He had like on his ArtStation like the images he's able to complete with the assistance and help of AI tools, and that's what they paid him for, dude. And we don't even know how much he got paid, dude. He probably got fucking like $20. Like we don't know like
He should
the
return
details of
$20.
the. Yeah, get back the $20.
Like
Fuck 'em, dude.
the developers who ported the games to this handheld device, they could have done that. They
Yeah,
didn't.
but they didn't, dude.
Yeah.
I don't. There's a lot of things people could do, but they don't do. Like, go on Fiverr, dude. Like, half the services on there are like people using like other websites or things that exist that like automate a lot of the tests that people don't want to do, but they don't know about
Sure.
to go do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I don't want to go like convert this thing. People like me, like where I have like a script, a Python script where I can like scrape a website and get like a bunch of spreadsheet files for people. Somebody might need that service, and I could be like, "Oh yeah, how much you willing to pay me? $20?" And like I just run a script, and it took me like 30 seconds to do. Is that? It's like, oh, they could have just like figured out how to write a quick Python script to do that, but they didn't, dude.
But
There's like a Chrome extension that also does like similar stuff, where it's like, oh, you could just use this Chrome extension, but you didn't do it because you didn't know about it, so you didn't do it, bro.
But at this point, we're talking like the plumber's analogy, right? It's like you pay for the experience, not the time spent, right?
Yeah, the expert
my argument
who knows
at
how
this
to do the
point
tools
is when you're using like the AI generated art, is that they're expecting to pay you for the experience at that point of a true artist, and you misrepresented yourself because you're a keyboard jockey at that point.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. Because like, listen, as an artist, there's hundreds of stories. Like, if you get into like the world of commissions and working on art, there's like literally thousands of like horror stories of like meeting with a client and then being like, "Oh, I'd like the design like this," and like you pull out a pencil and a piece of paper and like boom, you scribble out like something in like 15 minutes while you're sitting there like talking to your client, or maybe an hour, and then they look at it and they're like, well, it only took you half an hour to do this. It only took you an hour. Why should I pay you? And it's like, bitch, here's a pencil, here's a piece of paper, you do it. Like,
I agree with
there's
that,
like a skill set.
Right.
Yeah, you shouldn't equate like necessarily time to value.
No, I don't.
Because there's like a skill set, there's abilities, there's like knowing how to use various softwares. Like,
I completely agree, but I think that
you could give like probably like an intern
prompts.
Yeah, but like there's a prompt cook. Like you gotta know somewhat about composition. You gotta know like about prompts. Bro, like go into like Leonardo.ai and like start just typing in some prompts to try and get that image, dude. I bet you can't. Like there's a skill set to it. There's like knowing where to look. There's like I think it's like Lexi AI art or something. It's like stable diffusion prompts of like you can like search things and it gives you like people's like really well done prompts. There's negative prompts. You got to know like about aspect ratios. You got to know like you can't just like walk off the street and be like, oh, this is going to be fine. This is a fix all solution. I just hit generate art button and it works. It somewhat does, but like you're not going to get exactly what you want necessarily. So there's like, I don't know. I'm not saying like there's a certain amount of skill set to it.
Recreate it. He could not.
I don't know. Yeah, that's up. You'd have to.
Art's you're never going to get the same thing twice, though. Even with the same prompts, you're not.
So, I mean, you could like. There's like seeds. You can know how to like expose seeds to things. Like when I use like the stable diffusion for like all those monsters that I got from online, I like just had like a set seed that I enjoyed. I was like, all right, this gives me kind of like the general look I'm looking for. I like set like a temperature to like how much variance can be in it. And I was like, all right, go, boom.
Right,
I wouldn't claim that I did any of that art. I wouldn't sell it to anybody. Like it's fun for like a little project.
That's what this guy did, and you're agreeing.
But like that's a matter of like your own personal ethics, though. I'm like what you're willing to sell other people, right?
I think that dishonesty shouldn't be rewarded.
There's assholes out there flipping sound packs. There's like a big kerfluffle of like
100%. But my argument is
I respect the hustle. Like it's on you for not doing your due diligence and like looking into like people.
You as a person who has done commissions, though, if you were commissioned to do this Duke Nukem project, and the other guy just went from under you and they chose him instead of you, and you find out that yours that you actually worked on, let's say you had the same image, right? Like you guys both came up with the same image. Yours you actually worked on had proper sightlines, things like that, right? Proper like artistically, like from a gradable artistic standpoint, yours was pristine. His was AI generated, and they chose his.
Yeah.
How would you feel? Dude. How would you feel?
I'd be okay with it because I know it would take me like 40 to 60 hours. And if he could pop it out like within like 10 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, go with that guy, dude. Like if that's like you're under a crunch, you're under a timeline, like you have time constraints, and like you're willing to like settle for like a B instead of an A plus thing for like this image, and like do it. Do what you gotta do. Like there's other people involved. Like, I don't know. We always use the analogy of like the voice director who signs on like a terrible voice actor and everyone blames the voice actor. You know what I'm saying? Like you can, there's like a huge kerfluffle right now with like Target because they hired like a dude who happens to be a Satanist to do a bunch of art for them. And it's like, yeah, like, but so what? Like there's a whole, like people want to blame like that artist who happens to like have like a religious view and like, who cares, right? Like there's other people involved in that decision. It wasn't just like, oh, we're just going to pick this random dude. There's like a hiring manager. There's probably an art director. There's like a marketing director. There's probably somebody like in the PR marketing. Everybody signed off on this dude because they're like, it can get done quick and cheap. And it looks good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, see, I don't know, but you want to blame like the dude who's like using the tools out there that happen to be like kind of shady. It's like, do I agree with like doing that? Would I sell somebody's stuff? No, but like, you know, that's not me, dude. Like I said, there's people out there hustling all kinds of angles.
Okay. I'll leave it open. I'll say I don't agree with it, and I think that the artist that spent the time and has the talent to do it should have been the one that was picked. But also,
artists are getting replaced, dude. Rise up, normies.
At this point, like we have AI generated music featuring celebrities, you know, like Kanye, like trained voice doing other songs, things like that, which from a artistic and creative standpoint is a slippery slope of, is it fine right now?
They're trying to steal my essence.
But they're, you know, at this point you're literally stealing someone's voice.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's like a bunch of pending lawsuits as well.
You're stealing their voice too. So that's my thought. I think it's wrong. I don't think it should be done. And
what about dead artists? Is it okay to steal their voice?
No. I think you can be inspired by a dead artist, but you know, I don't think you should generate it. But that's me. Maybe I'm a bleeding heart, dude. I don't know. But yeah, dude, let's do that.
I feel like this technology's too new. It's still off pending litigation stuff. That's the other thing as well. As like, if you're a person out there like trying to get a side hustle and do like this, you might be opening yourself up to like future lawsuits and stuff, depending on like how the Supreme Court and copyright offices, you know, rule on this stuff. I know like they just had a ruling like a few months back where it was like, if you're using it for like photo bashing and like enhancing things, like cool, you can copyright it as long as like the author does a certain amount of work to it. But they weren't just taking like straight up images. They're like, if you use it for like a graphic novel, like you can copyright the writing and story, but not like the images that are generated by AI. So there's, I don't know, and like that's always changing because there's like people suing like the people who make stable diffusions, people suing who do like Midjourney. There's like a lot of artists, there's a lot of coders that are like suing because they put stuff on GitHub or ArtStation or, you know, DeviantArt or wherever. And like a lot of that stuff was aggregated and like, you know, for people web scraping and flipping it, dude.
So the argument too is like they're scraping the web and they're taking artists like style and things like that, and then
writings, words, images.
So, yeah.
You know, I'm all for it, dude.
Right.
I don't know. This is pushing us further on technology, man. Onward.
All right. On that controversial note, Mr. Gimpy.
Chipmunk.
This has been the Combo Wombo podcast. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Like, share, subscribe. Peace.
Yubbish. Later.
We out.